Action. Hi there. I'm in my greenhouse and I'm just getting to grips with these Zonal Pelargoniums or Bedding Geraniums that I've been overwintering. How I like to overwinter my Pelargoniums is just literally leave them in a mess like this, let them dry out. I've taken this one out of the pot just to show you. Let them dry out, just leave them in a corner and almost forget about them, because that gives them protection against the cold weather, etc. And I found that is a lot more effective than cutting them back in the autumn and storing them in the greenhouse or in a shed or something. I find I get a lot more fatalities. So that's what I'm doing. But it's now going to be January in a couple of days, and the job I would normally do end of February, just as we're getting early spring, I'm doing now because these are just getting in the way. I need to rejig everything and they're all tangled up in between each other, and they're making it quite difficult for me to pick off any diseased leaves, etc. So I've been working away. I've got quite a lot of decent amount of cuttings there, and essentially this is what I've been doing. I've been cutting them back to 2 to 3 growth points and just making sure they're labelled with what colour they were, because there's not much chance of knowing what colour they were once they're like that. When they've still got flowers on, it's a lot easier. So there's a few different examples here of where I've been cutting them back, and I'm going to show you cutting back those in a second, so you can see that you can have them at sort of different sizes. Whether you can have them with or without leaf on, it doesn't really matter this time of year. What I do anticipate is I normally try to cut to 3 growth points. So 3 essentially leaf nodes or buds. I've got one here. I'm just going to, so I can see what I'm doing, just pull off these brown dead leaves. Okay, and you see that's a great example of why I normally like to pull off the brown dead leaves. Is you start getting all sort of things growing there that you don't want, that will spread to all the rest of your plants. So I want 3 buds, so I'm counting here. That's probably 1, 2, 3 buds, so that's absolutely fine. I will leave that stem as it is because that leaf's quite healthy. The one in the middle here, I could say that, oh well, that's a rub, this is a rubbing bit of growth, and so I could remove that, give space for more, but I think that's probably going to be okay. So I'll just count up 1, 2, 3 would probably be best there. So you see I've got, this is going to be my 3rd bud up, just where I'm pointing my cutters there. That's a bud, and I can see a little green dot in the middle, so I know that it's alive. That might be quite difficult to focus, but there we go. There'll be a little green dot in there, and then a sort of smiley brown face underneath. And I'm going to cut with a slightly slanted cut, just like you would a rose if you know how to cut roses, where that base is sort of the bottom of the slanted cut is sort of equal with where the top of the little bud is. That's just to help the water run off. Now I am anticipating it will probably die back from there to there to that 2nd bud, so that's why I go for 3. This here is, I'm not even going to bother counting the buds here because it gives me an obvious balance that I want to cut this one here. So I'm just going to give that a snip. See if we can do it around this way. There we go. And that gives me a nice balanced plant as well. That leaf's obviously not happy, so we'll take that off. And you don't want to leave too much leaf on. So you just want a few leaf if you're going to leave them on at all. And that's perfect. I just clean out the bottom of the pot of any leaf, flower debris. And I know that this one was a pink one, so I can label it with a label. Still got lots of these plastic labels someone gave me, so I can use these. So a pencil, just write pink. And that's it done. That's all you need to do. If you were looking to take cuttings, say autumn or February, or even any point during the year, it's quite simple. You would go to a new point, so the newest growth. You want to count about 4 buds down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if this was on a live plant, you would cut with your slanted cut above that bud, so that what's left on the plant is a nice clean bud point. You've then got this point where there's no bud until you get to there, which was my 3rd bud down, and I want to do a little slanting cut there, or I can just do a straight cut if I want. It doesn't matter too much, as long as you're not cutting into that little bud, because that's going to be where it can potentially root from. I then want to make sure that it's not working too hard with these leaves, so I'm going to take it down to 2 leaf. All I do then is dip that in a solution of rooting hormone and water would be ideal, but you can just root them in water or compost. Just find a bit more successful with rooting hormone. And you would just stick it into a pot. So let's use one. Yeah, that's a good one. So you would just stick it into a pot, say with something roughly the size of the cutting material, or you can use your finger. And you just poke that in there and firm round, and then water in, but don't let it be too wet. Then just pop it in there. And that's a pelargonium cutting. Very simple. You could, instead of putting into compost, you could use something that I'm searching around for. Here we go. So you could put them into a little tray of perlite, something like that, and just keep it watered. And as they root, you then would pick them out by a leaf, not the stem, because you can always grow a new leaf, and you would put them, like I just did, into compost. So that's overwintering. Best done in somewhere light and not cut back, but if you're going to cut them back, leave 3 buds. If you're taking cuttings, just gone through that. About 3, I personally like 3 buds down, so you're cutting on the 4th. Using rooting hormone is better. When do I start watering these again if I'm overwintering them? Unless it's a very hot day, I won't water them till the end of February, beginning of March, when we start getting what you would regard as spring weather, sort of over 6 degrees, and they'll start when they start growing. That's it. Cut.